Hi, I'm Vincent, and in this video, I will compare two of the biggest tools on the market to find B2B leads, Apollo.io and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So you will see which one is better to find B2B leads, which one is easier to use, especially if you are a beginner, which one has the most accurate data, how easy or painful it is to export leads to a CSV file, like Excel for example, and finally, which tool gives you the best value for your money. So my goal is that by the end of this video, you know exactly which tool is the best for you for your B2B prospecting strategy. So let's dive in. Alright, so just before we start to compare these two tools, I want to tell you that if you want to try LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you have a 30-day free trial that you can find directly on LinkedIn. So if you want to try Sales Navigator, you just need to go on LinkedIn, and then on the top right of your screen, you will see Sales Nav. So you just need to click on it, and then you will be able to start your 30-day free trial. And if you want to try Apollo for free, you just need to click the first link in the description, and then you will be able to create your account for free. I just want to let you know that if you use the link in the description, you might find some extra credits to try Apollo for free. So that being said, it's time to compare these two tools. All right, so now let's compare these two tools with one of the most important features. And actually, in my opinion, for this kind of tools, one of the most important feature is the lead finder. So here on the left, I have Apollo, and on the right, I have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And the first thing I want to say about these two tools is that they actually have very good filters. So if I go, for example, on Apollo, and then on the left part of my screen, I click on people, then we will see here that we have a lot of filters that we can use to find our best leads. So for example, we have headcount growth, list, persona, we can build a persona. We have job titles, company lookalikes, location, very useful this one, the number of employees in the company, industry and keywords, and actually you have much more filters. So for example, if I click here on more filters, you see that I have a lot of filters that I can use to find my best leads. And now if we check LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so here I'm currently on the homepage of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If I want to check my filters, very easy, I click on lead filters. And then on the left part of my screen, I will find all the filters I can use to find my best leads. And you see that we have the same filters. So for example, company headcount, company headquarters location, current job title, years in current company, geography, industry, and actually much more. But I think that in most cases, they just use the same filters. So I think that their filters are equals. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I've just shown you the filters to search people, so to search lead. So for example, in Apollo, I've searched people, and here you see that I have a list of people, and same for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So for example, if I make a search like this, you see on the right that I have people, but of course, what you can do is to find companies. And for that, on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example, you just need to go here on top and click on Account. And here you can apply filters to target specific companies. So for example, let's say that you want a specific industry. For example, you want to target companies in the marketing services industry. And you want a company headcount between 500 to 1,000 people. And here on the right part of my screen, I no longer have people, but I have companies. Now for Apollo, it works exactly the same way. I just need to go here and click on companies. And now here I have filters to target companies. And now this time I no longer have people, but I have companies. So targeting companies instead of people is very useful if you have a small TAM, meaning total addressable market. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how easy it is or not to use the lead finder. And in my opinion, it's more easy on Apollo than LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So for example, if I go on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, then here, for example, in current job title, if I want to get the best results, I need to use what we call booleans operators. And basically, I need to write everything in quotes. For example, if I want to target people head of sales, I need to write head of sales within quotes. So instead of clicking on include, I will press enter. And you see that with this search, I have 150K results. And now if I just write head of sales and I click on the LinkedIn suggestion, head of sales, so I click on include, you see that we have more results. So we have 210K results. And basically, when you don't use the quotes within the job title you want to search, you will get some bad results. So for example, if I scroll, you see that I have, for example, here, angel investor, and it's not someone who is head of sales. Here is another example. So here we have someone who is head of strategic sales. So basically, it's not exactly what we want because we want people who are head of sales. So that's why if you want to get better results on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you need to use the Boolean operators and more specifically the quotes to get better results. And by the way, if you want to see a complete beginner tutorial on how to use the Boolean operators, you can click at the top right of your screen. Now on Apollo, it's almost the same, but I feel that it's easier compared to LinkedIn Sales Navigator because here you have use quotations marks to return exact matches. So for example, if you want to target people who are head of sales, you write head of sales within quotes and then you press enter. And then you will only get people who are head of sales. So this might be just a feeling, but I think that it's easier on Apollo.io compared to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, the biggest drawback of LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the industry lead filter. And let me show you how it works. So basically here I'm on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and I'm on the lead page. And here, if I scroll, you see that we have this filter here, industry. And most people use this filter. And actually, it's a terrible one because this filter applies only on the lead and not on the company. So let me show you an example. So let's say that you want to target people in a company's industry software development. So I click on include. And here I will show you some example that it's not a relevant filter. So the first company, Zing, is software development. So that's perfect. And now this one, Gold and Iron, you see that it's business consulting and services. The next one, Goals, it's computer games. So it's not exactly what we want because we want software development and we don't want computer games. If I scroll here, we have information and internet. So same, it's not software development. And I've just found a good example. So we have this company, Paychecks, and the core industry of this company is human resources service. So actually, it's not software development. So that's why if you use a LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I strongly advise you to not use this industry filter because you will reach out to people who are not in your target industry. And if you want to target specific industries, what you need to do is to go here and click on account. And then here you can use this industry filter on account. So for example, we say software development. And here on the right, you have all the companies who are currently in the industry software development. Then what you need to do is to create an account list and add these companies into this list. So for that, we click on select all, save to list, and then create a new list. So for example, software development tutorial, then we click on create and save. And now what we need to do if we want to identify decision makers in these companies is first to go here on lead. Then you scroll a little bit. You click here on account list and then you select your account list. Software development tutorial, so it's this one. And here on the right, I have all the people who are currently working in the companies that are in my account list, software development tutorial. And now, because I know that these people are currently working in a company that is in an industry that I target, so software development, I just need to find decision makers. And so for that, I can use the current job title filter and say that we want to target people who are head of sales. And this time, I will only get people who are working in a company that is in the software development industry. So here, for example, LinkedIn software development, here Google software development, NetApp software development, Salesforce software development, and I think that you get the point. So you see that you can target specific industries on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but it's not very easy. On Apollo, it's very easy. You just need to click on people and then you use the filter industry and keywords. So you click on it and then here you just need to search an industry. So for example, computer software, like this. And here you see that we have people who are currently working for companies that are in the computer software industry. So for this point, in my opinion, Apollo is better than LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, the next point is the number of filters that you can use to find your best leads. And basically on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and on Apollo, you have a lot of filters that you can use. So it's like this. So for example, if I go on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you see that we have so much filters that we can use. So here it's just for a lead, but you have account here if you want to target specific things for a company. And same for Apollo, you have so much filters that you can use. And yeah, if you click on more filters, you have everything to find your best leads, even if your target is very specific. Now let's move on to the intent data filters. And basically on Sales Navigator and Apollo, you have some intent data filters. So on Apollo, you have these filters here, buying intent. So for example, if I click on get started, you see here that you can capture an intent signal if someone at a company engage with any of these topics. Honestly, on the paper, it looks amazing, but in most cases, if you want to build a list of leads, it's not relevant. And you have some more intent data filters. So technologies, revenue, funding, job posting, and signals like recently promoted, former champion, change jobs, and so on. So it might be useful and help you to get better leads, but honestly, yeah, it's not the best. And some data, for example, technologies and revenue, they are not accurate. Now on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, what's very interesting compared to Apollo is that you have some intent data related to your LinkedIn account. For example, here you have the list of all the people who are following your company. Here you have the people who viewed your profile recently. Then here you have this filter connection, and basically you can target people who are in your first degree connections on LinkedIn. And actually, this is a very good way to find warm leads because these people might already know you, know your face, last name, and so on. So it's a very good filter to use. You have this filter connections off, and basically with this one, you can see who is in the network of a competitor, for example. So let's take an example and let's say that Romain Silvestre is a competitor. So let's click on it, and here you see that I have access to all the people in his network, and I have 610 results. And what's interesting is to combine this filter connections off with this one, current job title, because here what you can do is to target decision makers in the network of Romain. For example, in current job title, we can say we want to target people who are CEO or founder. And now you see that with these two filters, I'm able to target decision makers in the network of someone, which is very powerful. And finally, the last interesting intent data filter on LinkedIn Sales Navigator is this one, change jobs. And why it's interesting? It's because when a decision maker is new in a company, he wants to prove that he is worth it in the company. And during the first 3 to 6 months, this person will be more eager to try new services and new products. So that's why this intent data filter change jobs is interesting. So if I go back here, I think that the intent data on LinkedIn Sales Navigator is better than Apollo. So for the lead finder feature, it's the same. I give 4 stars for the two tools. And now it's time to move to the data quality because it's very important. All right, so the biggest difference between the two tools on the data quality is that actually Apollo is a database and basically they scrape LinkedIn to get the data. And for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's real-time data and it's because it's updated by the users themselves. So I don't say that the quality of the data is bad on Apollo, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator will always beat Apollo on the data quality. So that's why it's like this. Then the next point is the data you have at the end. So when you export your list of leads, you have some data like the first name, last name, company name, and so on. And basically with Apollo and Sales Navigator, you have everything you need to reach out to your leads. And there isn't a big difference between the two tools. So that's why it's like this. The main drawback of LinkedIn Sales Navigator is that you can't export the leads natively on the platform, and I will show you later how it works. Then the next point is if the data is clean or if you need to put some extra work to clean the data yourself. And basically on Apollo, the data is clean, so you don't have any problems with capital letters or with emojis in the first name, last name, and company name. But on Sales Navigator, it's a bit different. So for example, here we have Irina, but with a flag, or we have Brian with a chocolate in his last name. So when you export these people, if you don't use the right tool, you need to clean the data yourself, and it's a bit annoying to do that. So that's why it's better on Apollo, but you will see in a few minutes that it's not a big deal if you use a tool that clean the data automatically for you. So at the end, for the data quality, I put 3 stars for Apollo and 4 stars for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And why I did that? It's because they have real time and you can't find better data than LinkedIn Sales Navigator on the market. All right, so now it's time to move on to the next one. And I want to talk about the email finder and contact export feature. So basically on Apollo, it's very easy to export leads, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So here I want to target people who are head of sales based in New York in a company headcount between 11 to 100 people. And the industry I want to target is SaaS for software as a service. And now if I want to export these people and get their emails, very easy. I click here on the box. Now I can give the number of people I want to export, or just for example, I want to just select this page with 25 results. Then I click on apply, and then I just need to go here and click on export. And here I have a pop-up with the number of verified email, so 19. And here I can select to include casual emails or not. So I recommend you to include your casual emails, and then you click on next. And then here we can export as a CSV. So I click on save. And finally, I click here on download. So you see here that I have my list of leads with the first name, last name, job title, company name. I have the emails of my leads, email status. So it's written verified, but I strongly recommend you to use a third-party tool to verify these emails because Apollo is not the best at verifying emails. And that's why you can use a tool like my SaaS Give Me Leads to verify these email addresses and make sure that you don't hurt your deliverability. And if I scroll, you see that we have a lot of information that we can use. For example, we have the LinkedIn URL, the company website, company LinkedIn URL, and actually much more information that we can use. So you see that with Apollo, it's easy to export a list of leads into a clean CSV file. You just have at the end to make sure that you keep a good deliverability to verify the email addresses from Apollo. Now, in the other end, on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's a bit different because you can't export the leads natively and you have no email finder, and that's why you need a tool to export the leads and get their verified emails. So let's take an example. So here I'm currently on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I've made a search where I want to export people who are head of sales based in San Francisco, and I want a company headcount between 51 to 200 people. And you see that with this search, we have almost 200 results. And now when you want to export these leads into a clean CSV file and get, of course, their verified emails, you need to use a third-party tools like Give Me Leads to export the leads, clean the data, and of course give you the emails of your leads. So if you want to try Give Me Leads, you can go on givemeleads.io, or you have a link in the description, and then you just need to click on start for free. Here you create your account, and then all you need to do is to install the Chrome extension. So once you've installed the Chrome extension, you will get a button like this one, extract leads. So once you want to export your leads, very easy, you click on extract leads, then you will be redirected to your Give Me Leads account. Here you can give the number of people you want to export. So let's say just for this tutorial, 50, and then you click on export leads. Now here I just want to rename my export. So let's rename it Apollo versus Sales Navigator. And now I just need to wait a little bit and I will get my export with, of course, the verified emails of my leads. All right, so after 2 minutes, my export is done. And now if I want to access my list of leads, very easy, I click here on download, then download CSV. And here you see that we have our list of 50 leads, which is actually perfect. And same, we have the first name, last name, LinkedIn URL. You have the verified emails of your leads, and you don't need to verify once more the lead because we already do it for you. You have here the job title, location, and actually much more information that you can use, like the company name, company website, company location, and so on. So you see that with an external tool, you can easily export your leads from LinkedIn Sales Navigator with a button like this one. And at the end, you have your list of leads with basically the same information that you can find on apollo.io. There is just one more limitation that you will face with Sales Navigator. So you can't export more than 2,500 leads per day. And if you find a scrapping tool like us, for example, and they say that they can't export more, yeah, it's just not safe for your LinkedIn account. So that's why the limit is 2,500 leads a day And of course, you don't have this limit on Apollo.io. So that's why for the email finder and contact export features, I put 3 stars for Apollo and 2 stars for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now let's have a look at the outreach tools. So basically on Apollo, they recently added some outreach features. So for that, very easy, you go here in sequences and here you can create your sequence. So for example, let's create a sequence from a template. And here you see that we have a lot of templates that we can use. So let's try this one, for example, find the right contact. So use template. And now you see here that we have a sequence builder. So here you see that we send an email, then a follow-up, and a last follow-up at the end. So as you can see on Apollo, you can build a sequence and you can even call people. And so for that, you just need to go here on calls. And here you see that you have all the features to make call. Now on Sales Navigator, you don't have that. You can only send LinkedIn messages. And so for that, it's very easy. You click on someone, for example. So Mark here. And here what you can do is to click here and send a connection request. Or in some cases, you click on message. And here you will be able to send an email message because Mark is a no-pay profile. So basically, it means that I don't need to pay some extra credits to send a message to Mark. And I forgot to mention that Mark will get your message directly in his inbox and it won't be a connection request. So at the end, for the outreach tools, Apollo is better because actually there is almost nothing on LinkedIn Sales Navigator except sending some LinkedIn messages. I put 3 stars for Apollo because in my opinion, it's a bit complicated to use these outreach features. So let's go back on Apollo. So here in sequences, you see actually that we have a lot of things on our screen. We have here contacts, emails, we have task, activity, report, settings, and basically you see that it's not very user-friendly compared to tools like SmartLead, for example, who are dedicated to do cold emails. So that's why it's 3 stars for Apollo and 2 stars for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And finally, the last thing I want to compare between these two tools is the pricing. So let's start with Apollo.io. And here I'm on the pricing page. And you see that I have a lot of things on my screen. So I have some features here. So for example, here I have outbound, inbound, data enrichment, deal execution. And if I scroll, you see that, yeah, it's very hard. Here I have an add-on. And if I scroll, you see that we have a lot of things and it's hard to understand what's going on here. But if you have one thing to remember from this pricing page is that you need to select a plan, for example, this one basic, and then you will get access to some credits. And basically with credits, an email costs 1 credit, a phone number 8 credits. If you want to enrich the data, it's between 1 to 8. And if you want to do some AI stuff, it's 1 credit per run. Now for a LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's simple. So the plan most people will use is this one, Sales Navigator Core. And basically this plan is $100 per month. And on top of that, you need a tool like my SaaS, for example, Give Me Leads, to be able to export your leads and get the verified emails of your leads from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And here you have the pricing. So for example, it's almost $200 for 15,000 leads with verified emails. So for 15,000 leads, you need to pay Give Me Leads and then the Sales Navigator plan. And at the end, it's $300 for this number of leads. For Apollo, it costs almost the same. So here we have 4K credits with 100 euros. And now let's say that we want to add more credits, for example, 10K credits. It costs $180 a month. So at the end, for 14K results, you need to pay $280 a month. And on top of that, I recommend you to add an email verifier to get better deliverability. So at the end, it's 4 stars for LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and 3 stars for Apollo. So I really hope that with this comparison between Apollo and Sales Navigator, you will find the best tools for your B2B prospecting. Now, if you want to try Apollo and get some free credits, you can click the first link in the description. And if you want to try my SaaS Give Me Leads, you have a link in the description. And now, if you want to see a complete beginner-friendly tutorial on how to use a LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can click somewhere on the screen. It was Vincent. I wish you a nice day and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.